Now, what if we had the technology to read minds? University of Canterbury academics are investigating the forensic potential of brain scanning technology, also known as brain fingerprinting. It's already been used in a number of high-profile criminal cases in the United States to help determine guilt or lack thereof, but scientists here also think it could have the potential to add a revolutionary new dimension to criminal investigations. The project team was led by Professor Robin Palmer of the University of Canterbury, and he's with us. Good morning.
Morning.
How does this work?
Well, it's basically a method of determining whether somebody has certain information in their brain. So in that sense, it's not fully a lie detector. It is a determination of whether you know something about something or not.
And how can you detect that?
Well, it works with an EEG. So what actually happens is it is brain waves that are interpreted. And to put it simply, if you know something about something, it will show as a sort of a peak brainwave. If you don't know something about an item, it will come as a sort of flat line. So by interpreting the brainwaves, we can determine whether you have knowledge of something or not.
What about for things that people may have forgotten? Because we don't remember everything, do we?
Yeah, that is true. But when it's prompted, if it's a significant event, you'll find that once it's prompted with a picture or with a reminder, your brain does recall that and registers that recall.
What sort of advantages do you think this kind of technology could bring?
Well, major advantages in investigation. For example, you have 10 suspects. You can then test the suspects on their knowledge of key areas of the crime only the suspect would know. And then you can eliminate 8 of the suspects, and only 2 have knowledge of what happened or then investigated. That would be one major advantage. Another advantage would be post-conviction, where people insist they had nothing to do with it. And that's where it has been used to determine whether they had crucial knowledge of what happened at the time or not.
So this is where it could be used in New Zealand, cases like Taina Pora, Scott Watson, that we hear a lot about over the years. This sort of thing would be able to conclusively, do you say whether these things had happened or not?
Well, the research has been sponsored by the New Zealand Law Foundation and supported us for a year in looking into this. We have verified that there is definitely potential for doing great stuff in investigation and also in verification of the truth post-conviction. So it definitely could be used in those kinds of cases.
How conclusive do you think it is? Is it possible, for example, to give a percentage of, how foolproof it is?
Well, at the moment, the results have shown a 99.9% result, and that sounds extraordinary, but
it does. That's very high.
Yeah, well, in fact, nobody ever reports 100%, but that is very high. And we did a very small verification exercise in New Zealand, which came out with the same result. We now want to, with support, extend it to field studies to see whether on the ground we get the same results. So I think it's got great, very exciting potential. And we think it can, like DNA, eventually be used in the criminal justice system.
Is it expensive?
Well, not really. It really, at the moment, consists of a headband and a laptop with a program at the moment. So it's not expensive. So it's just a question of training of how to use it.
What about the police? Are they keen that this sort of thing be used?
Absolutely. The police have been involved in the year-long study we've been involved in as well. They have given their input, and they will hopefully be involved in the future. We have their support, and they are very keen in looking at new technologies. As you know and I know, everybody is very skeptical about gimmicky new things like polygraphs and similar kinds of things. So we were skeptical to start with as well, but we've been working on it for a number of years now. And from a legal perspective, which is my expertise, we think there is definitely potential. It's just a question of making sure that...
I was just going to say, is there any group in particular that wouldn't want this to come in?
Well, the point is it's got a lot. It's the defense lawyers may use it in 2 ways. It can either verify innocence or it can verify guilt. In fact, the very first case that was done in the United States years back, the case of J.B. Grinder, it was a serial killer who denied he had anything to do with it, and the technology proved his guilt, and he then pleaded guilty.
And how long do you think it could be before we see this kind of thing being used in the courts in New Zealand?
Well, I don't see it being that long, because any expert witness can be brought to court right now to try and persuade the court that the technology has got validity. But we are taking a more cautious approach and doing a lot more testing before we actually decide whether a test case is suitable or not.
Thank you very much for your time today. Really interesting stuff there from Professor Robin Palmer from the University of Canterbury, talking about the forensic potential of brain scanning technology, which is known as brain fingerprinting.